want to talk about Chor Ma. What Chor Ma is shifting in Wing Chun. Alright, so let's talk about how we get into the stance, because if you're having problems with shifting, then it's a good chance you're having problems with the Yiji Kimi Ma. Alright, so let's just go over a couple things. You want to stand with your heels slightly touching. From here, make sure you're standing straight. Alright, I don't want to be slouching over from here. One of the ways that you need to properly create the wall function in Wing Chun is to make sure that you're standing up straight. Alright, if you're standing up straight, you should feel your shoulders naturally be able to stretch and relax. Alright, if your arms are relaxed enough, you should feel some simple blood flowing to the fingertips of your hands. Now, as I'm getting into the stance, I'm crossing the arms, circling, pulling back. Alright, from here, I want to bend my knees and roll the hips forward. I want to make sure that my hips are not pushing forward, as I don't want to be tilting back. A lot of times people forget to stretch the back, and because they forget to stretch the back, they end up going like this into their stance. Alright, now I'm already leaning back if I'm doing that, meaning that when force comes in to hit me, that I'm going to get pushed back and most likely be knocked over from that, which is obviously a horrible thing to have happen if you're in that oh my god situation. So from here, I want to make sure that I'm standing straight. Now, as I'm getting into the stance, I'm bending my knees and I roll my hips gently forward. I should feel a little firmness of tension on my thighs if I'm doing this correctly. Now from here, I'm opening up on the heels of my foot. Now, a big mistake people make is that from here, they're already rocking back onto their heels. And they think, oh, I have to open up on my heels, and then they open up like on the balls of my feet. So then when they end up shifting, because they've opened up on their heels so much, and their weight is on their heels, they end up shifting like this. And again, when that force comes in, you're going to get knocked back. So you need to create the proper wall function from the very beginning. Now, I readily admit, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but that's why we practice. Remember, Wing Chun is a road of self-discovery, to learn how to control, learn how to relax, and learn how to focus. So from here, when I'm in the stance, I want to make sure that my hips are always gently rocked forward, rolled forward, and from here, my knees should be bent. Now, I should feel my body weight in the center of my foot. Now, a lot of times, I've seen people make this mistake, they end up doing something like this. And so when they end up shifting again, like I've said, they end up shifting on the heels of the foot mechanically. If you're doing that, how do you get your weight to be more towards the center of your foot? Well, one, I have to stand up straight. Now, if I stand up straight and my legs are straight here, my body weight will naturally be on the heels of my foot. A lot of times when people end up walking, they end up slouching. So that way now, because I'm slouching, now my body weight is more towards the center of my foot. But when force hits you in this position, you're going to get knocked over because you have no natural connection between your body and your legs. So I have to make sure that I'm standing up straight. You should feel a nice gentle stretch in your back. Kind of think a bit around your spine if that helps you. But I should feel a nice gentle stretch. From here, make sure that the neck is tilted down so you get the pull from the top of the spine, and this roll of the hips pulls the bottom of the spine. It also connects through the proper tension your legs to your body. All right, so you've got to make sure that you're doing all of that correct mechanically. Now, if that is all correct, and hopefully it is, now we get into the actual shifting. So from here, you want to make sure that when you shift, that I'm not shifting side to side this way. Remember, in Wing Chun, you should always be balanced. What is balance, simply put, is 50-50. So if I'm shifting, going like this, around this center, I'm not going to be balanced. I'm not going to be 50-50. So again, when that impact happens to you, you're going to get knocked back. And if you think that you're going to dodge somebody and do some type of counterattack off that in that position, well, good luck for that. So now, when I'm in this position here, when I'm in my natural Yiji Kimi Ma, a lot of times people get too tense when they do this. So when I'm in this position, I need to let everything relax as much as possible. When I relax, I put my focus into my knees. Just like when I punch, I put my focus into my elbow because that allows the musculature in the hand and the forearm, wrist, and the shoulder to relax, all right? I don't ever want to think that like I'm doing something like wrist-led or shoulder-led this way here. I want to think my elbow is leading this motion so that way I can naturally adjust when force comes in. If I need to, I can naturally adjust to whatever it is that's making contact with me at the time. It's the same idea with my knees. I put my focus into my knees. Now, along with proper focus into the knees, I also need to have a critical component in Wing Chun. And that critical component is the idea of target, all right? So let's say I'm focused at the dummy here, all right? Now, my target is going to be the tip of the arm here. So that's where I want to be able to focus everything to go. If somebody says, hey, I'm going to throw you this ball, and if you catch this ball, I'm going to give you, $50,000, you're going to focus towards that target of what you perceive as incoming. So now that ball is getting thrown to me, now I can have a better chance at catching that ball because I have that focus of target in there. That focus of target is what I call one of the binding agents of Wing Chun, relaxation being the other. So if I can relax and have a proper target, I can move naturally, all right? Naturally means I can also adjust naturally to the undulations of whatever is happening, all right? So in the beginning, when you start shifting, yes, mechanically, it is on your heels that is moving, but I need to have my body weight in the center of my foot, all right? I don't want to shift and be like here when I'm shifting that my feet are rising up, all right? If I'm doing that, again, your body weight is in the incorrect position, and I need to bend my knees slightly more so I feel my body weight in the center of my foot. Now, when you bend your knees, do not pinch in like this. I'm not like a jockey riding the horse trying to squeeze my knees together. If you do that long term, I'm not a physician, but I believe that would lead to an injury that you don't want to have happen, or maybe even some bad knee problems as you get a little bit older. I shouldn't naturally be pinching in here to hold this, all right? I'm not like holding a goat or anything like that. Just absurd, all right? Again, if somebody says, hey, I'm gonna throw you this ball, you're going to perceive yourself in a position to receive potential force. People will naturally, again, bend their knees to be able to get themselves in a position where they can brace themselves to receive that incoming force. So that's why you're bending your knees, because you're putting your body in a position where it can naturally compress, adjust to whatever that force is that's coming in, and move with it as that force is coming in. All right, so don't pinch your knees in unnaturally and unnecessarily, all right? So from here, now, when I start the shift, all I want you to do is think small motion, all right? I don't want you to do, we have different levels of shifting. First, we have just the basic shifting, roughly 45 degrees, but then as we get into more of the Chun Kyu level, now I'm getting into the full 180 degree shift, all right? We'll get into that as we progress through the video. Hopefully won't have to make a second video about it, but let's just do the simple 45 degree shift now. Now, assuming that your body weight's in the correct position and you have the right hip tuck, so that the right tension is balanced between the two legs. I shouldn't be untucked here because if I do, your body's gonna be rolling, flying all over the place. So I stretch the back, I roll the hips. Now I should have some tension here, and that tension, maintain it, and maintain that while you're shifting. So if you think about how you naturally walk, right? When I walk, if I'm gonna step forward with my right leg, my left leg is pushing forward, and my right leg here is actively coming forward. Now, like I said, you probably don't overthink how much you're walking, right? But if you can break down the process of how you're walking, it will actually help with how you are shifting. So when I walk, right, I'm pushing off with my support leg, and my other passive leg is coming forward. You notice when you walk, right, you don't put any extra tension on your foot or your ankle, because when you step down on the ground, your body weight has to roll forward onto it, all right? So that's why if you were to create tension in your foot or your ankle, it'd be the same as like creating unnecessary tension in your wrist or your hand as you're punching, which, as I've said, you do not want to do because you will not allow the natural adjustment of the body to happen upon contact. So I'm striking the ground every time I'm taking a step. So I wouldn't want to put extra tension in my ankle or my foot because it won't allow my ankle and foot to naturally roll to be able to support my body weight as it's coming forward. All right, I hope that makes sense to you because it's pretty simplistic actually. So when I'm shifting, I have that same mindset, if you will, as if I'm walking. So if I'm going to shift to my right, for example, I'm pushing off actively with my left leg and my right leg is passively shifting with it. Now, how do I keep these working together? Again, that goes back to keeping the back straight, slightly bending the knees, and having that hip roll, hip tuck happen in place. Now, if I do that and I shift, now I need to have target too. Now, everything works together. So if I'm going to go back roughly 45 degrees to my left now my right leg is pushing off as my left leg passively shifts and adjusts to my left. Again, have a target in mind. So I have a target over here. Now I'm going to have a target over here. Shift to that. All right. So that's the basic level of shifting, and you're actually introduced to that in Chum Kiu. So as the forms go, just talking about Silam Tao and Chum Kiu, there's lots of things those forms are teaching you. But simply put, from a footwork and stance perspective, Silam Tao is teaching you how to stand upright, all right? Chum Kiu is now teaching you how to rotate this upright axis, all right? If you can see this hopefully rotating. And then it's also teaching you how this is moving back and forth, all right? So keep that upright position. So when I'm in my stance, I'm now rotating on my axis, all right? As I go back and forth. Notice that I shouldn't be coming in here. Like I said, I shouldn't be coming in, rotating around what would be this central plane. I need to come in here, shift. But you notice it still stays in the center of my body, all right? All that's changing is now the positions of my shoulders as relation to this target. And I go back and forth with that. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and ask, or you can, message me directly. The last thing I want to talk about is the idea of development versus application. Now, development is all about learning body control, all right? The application is up to you, but now you have these levels of body control. So, would shifting be applicable? You can never say never and never say always. But it's highly unlikely that I'm going to have somebody come in, whether they're just standing in front of me or they're walking towards me or charging me, that I'm going to do something and just shift and punch that person. Again, it's just highly unlikely. But the transition from development to application is that this shifting is naturally ingrained in all of the other footwork we do. So if we talk about bracing, for example, whether I'm doing forward bracing or backwards bracing, is that the footwork, the shifting, is naturally in there. Even if I just do a simple three-angle step, you notice how my feet don't just go straight forward then. As I'm walking, my foot comes in and I end up turning just ever so slightly with it. Because again, that's how you naturally walk. When you walk, all right, your foot just doesn't come in and go straight heel to toe. If I'm walking extremely slowly, then I could actually maybe go that heel to toe. But if I'm walking, as it naturally falls off to the side, my foot rotates out just that little bit. So when I can come in and push and take my next step. So you're actually having that little shifting ingrained into your naturally walking step. So Wing Chun, taking what's natural for the body, understanding that mechanical process of what's happening, and now trying to take it to a higher level of control. That level of control allows you to naturally adjust for this function, the function being potentially self-defense. But you can use it for a lot of other things too, because it's all about learning to control your balance and adjust as motion is happening. So again, would I specifically come in and shift and punch if somebody's coming in to attack me? Highly unlikely. But if I brace back, brace forward, step forward, that's all part of the idea, because now I've found my center of gravity. I can now start to shift with that, and now I can start to move with that as needed. All right. Again, any questions, please feel free to ask. Good luck.